Greetings. Let's talk for a few moments about documenting your sources according to MLA standards. When writing an essay, you often will be asked to use research to support ideas. You should use research as a way to bring in the experts, to give extra weight to what you're saying. After all, if the experts agree with you, doesn't that make your argument all the stronger? Well, regardless of whether you're quoting, paraphrasing, or summarizing any work that's not your own, that is included in a paper, unless perhaps it's general knowledge information such as well-known historical events, you are required to give credit to the author and to the work. To do that in many humanities-related courses, including English, you may be asked to use Modern Language Association or MLA style. Check with your professor, however, for his or her preferred style, because there are several out there. All that being said, let's take a look in this video about how to give credit where credit is due while using MLA standards. First, let's discuss the bibliography page called the Works Cited in MLA style. This goes on a new blank page below the text of your document. The first thing that goes on the page are the words Works Cited. You'll note that each of these words is capitalized with the first letter. They are in the same font that is used within the rest of the paper. There's no underlining, no italics. Then you take the Works Cited and you put it in the middle of the page by using the centering alignment icon. One thing to note about the Works Cited page is that you put bibliographic information only of the works you quoted, paraphrased, or summarized in the actual essay. You do not include works you just referred to while doing research. This bibliographic information is usually referred to as a citation, and today there are generators that allow you to create citations of the source you are including in the paper. A few tools to consider for generating citations include the citation generators found in research or library databases such as Academic Search Complete. You can see here, looking at Academic Search Complete, over on the right actually, that there is a link for citing the source. Just click here. It's off the screen, but it says Cite. And at that point, what it will do is it will provide for you all these different citation styles, starting in alphabetical order with AMA, American Medical Association, APA, go on down to MLA. You can just take this information and you can copy it over into your Word document as such. Again, this is double spaced, just as all the rest of the paper is supposed to be double spaced. On the left, take this here. Other options you might utilize to get something like a citation for a website out on the open web would be something like NightCite, which is at nightcite.com. That's KNIGHTCITE.com, or Son of Citation Machine, which is at citationmachine.net. If you're looking to cite a book, you can use a citation generator at worldcat.org. Go right here and click on books, for instance. You can put in something like this. Click search books. Choose the book that you corresponds with your actual one that you have in your hand. And up here you have Cite Export. Here's MLA 7th edition. Lo and behold, you just copy this and put it over into your Word document. A few things to note about the Works Cited page. You can find this information in the Purdue OWL, just by Googling Purdue OWL, O-W-L, or that you should double space all citations. You can see that's what's happened here. But do not skip spaces between entries. That means don't add an extra line in here. So people will do this. You want it to just be standard double space. You should put all of your sources in alphabetical order. So in this case, we have Femke Salvadera. We should actually put Bloom before it. So Bloom would come up here. So it's in alphabetical order. If the citation begins with an a, an, or the, which is an article, you then skip to the next word. Another thing to remember is that you should indent the second and all subsequent lines of the citation 5 spaces so that you create a hanging indent. This always seems to throw students. So let me show you how to do this in Microsoft Word 2010. All you have to do is once you have all of the sources in your Works Cited page, what you just need to do is go here, highlight everything, right mouse click, choose paragraph. Right here under special, you just choose hanging, and automatically it will go to 1/2 inch or 0.5. You click OK, and there it is provided for you. Note this is just one line, so it doesn't need to be hanging indent. That's the way it should look. Other basic rules of MLA include that you capitalize each word in the titles of articles and books. But do not capitalize articles a, an, and the, prepositions, or conjunctions unless one is the first word of the title or subtitle. See here that if these are correct, these will be capitalized: video, games. Now, and is not capitalized, and neither is the, so that's incorrect. So sometimes these citation generators you have to work with a little bit. They're probably about 80 to 90% correct. So you need to play with them based on the standards the MLA has. And again, you can look those up in the Purdue OWL. Other things you need to think about when you are creating your citations is you should use italics for titles of larger works, such as books. See here, here's a book, and it is in italics. And quotation marks for shorter works, such as articles. We see here this is actually citing an article, and it is in quotations. Here's a journal title, which is a larger work, and again it is in italics. You can see as well that it capitalizes, even in this case, the and, because here, even though it is an article, because it is the beginning of the subtitle. There are many variations of how an MLA citation should appear based on number of authors, the type of work, and the medium. Let's look at a frequently used citation, a website. This comes again from the Purdue OWL. Citing a website. This is citing actually the entire website, not a document in a website or an article in a website. But you can look here and you can see a few basic things that it includes. You have editor, author, or compiler name, and that's only if it's available. If it's not available, you skip to the next thing, which would be the name of the site. And note that it's in italics. You put the version number, which some sites have nothing, the name of the institution or organization it's affiliated with, and note punctuation is very important in here. You want to use the periods and the commas appropriately. You put in the date of the resource creation, if it's provided for you, and then put the medium, which would be web normally, and then the date of access, and again that's in military style. You can see here, here's one that has an author. This one does not have an author, which is actually citing the Purdue OWL that we're looking at. Here we have Faluga, comma, Dino. Yes, it always goes last name, comma, first name, period. And then we have here the title of the website, Guide to Literary and Critical Theory, because that's a larger work. Remember, it's in italics. Then we have the institutions affiliated with, Purdue U, which is how they abbreviate. There are several abbreviations you can learn about more with regards to using MLA style, comma, 28th of November 2003 is when it was created, .web, which is the medium, the 10th of May 2006 was the date of access. You will note that the new MLA 7th edition, or the latest MLA 7th edition, says that you do not have to put the URL or web address within your citation. However, some professors will ask that you put it there. The reason why is because the web is so fluid, URLs seem to change so frequently that they thought, well, gee, you can just go out there and Google it, and it's not so bad. So now that you understand some general information about the Works Cited page, let's talk about in-text citations. Now, in-text citations are what actually appears in the work itself, that's in your writing within the essay. And those in-text citations are basically shorthand for the long version, which is at the end in the Works Cited page. Let's look here for just a moment. Go to in-text citation, the basics. Here's an example of how in-text citations are used within an essay. You can see here Wordsworth stated the romantic poetry was marked by, quote, spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Now here the author is actually quoting only part of something that appeared in a work. And in this case we see it as Wordsworth, and you have the page number at the end in parenthesis. That's one way of doing it. It's not the most common way, however. The most common way to do it is what appears here, and that is writing romantic poetry is characterized by spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, and at the very end you put open parenthesis, last name of the author, and then the page number that the quote appears on. Now, sometimes in most electronic sources there is not a page number. If you have a PDF, there will be a page number if it's an image type thing. And you put a close quote and then the period. Pay close attention to the punctuation here. The period still goes at the end. A lot of people will put this parenthesis over on the other side of the period. No, remember it stays here. And note here, this one gives you the option where there is no quote at all, just Wordsworth extensively explored the role of emotion in the creative process. This is a paraphrase, which is preferable, even though you look at the original work and think, gee, I should include quotes. You can, as often makes it more difficult to include quotes because you have to change words and tenses and all those sorts of things. Sometimes it's better just to paraphrase and then include here Wordsworth as the reference point, and then at the end here the page number. Now, what you have to remember is that these in-text citations should be equal to, like for instance here, Wordsworth, if this was an actual citation in the Works Cited page at the end of the paper, this would be filed under W for Wordsworth. These correspond with whatever the first word is, or first few words are, of the citation. Now, if it's a article, for instance, and you don't have a author of that article, and the first thing in the citation will actually be the name of the article, and that's what appears here in quotes, and then the page number if there is one available. So that's just a little bit about in-text citations. The main one you want to remember is this one. That's probably the easiest one to remember. Just you use the quote here, parenthesis, and then you put in the last name, page number, close parenthesis, and then the punctuation mark, usually a period. So now that you've learned about creating a Works Cited page at the end of your essay and adding in-text citations into the body of your essay, you should be on your way to better writing. So, happy documenting.